Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-thru. Special shout out to the Super Bowl 51. What a game. I thought the commercial about the hair for the next 4 years, I know it's me talking, but I thought that was the best one. Does anyone see it? It's in the second half. Mr. Clean was good. That was a good one. The baby one was very cute. Okay, always. All right, let's just do a bunch of these, okay? How about we'll start with number 6. You're just going to put in your calculator square root of 0.49, and that is probably 0.7, right? Okay. How about number 13? The square root of 9x to the 4th over 36. Well, that's the square root. It's the same thing as the square root of 9x to the 4th on top and the square root of 36 on the bottom. If you wanted to just break it up that way. What number times itself gives you 9? That is 3. What number or thing times itself gives you x to the 4th? X squared. Okay, so that's gone. And on the bottom, you just get 6. So it's 3x squared over 6. And just like if we had 3/6 as a normal fraction, we would simplify it to 1x squared over 2. And if you prefer, you could just write that as x squared over 2. Okay? So that one was harder. Let's look at number 16. You've got, actually, how about, well, we'll look at 16 and 19. You got the cube root of -7 times the cube root of 49. Okay? And that's going to be, well, if you really notice, maybe you notice that 49 is 7 times 7. So essentially what you're going to get here is the cube root of -7 times 7 times 7. But I don't want to confuse you. You could definitely just do this in your calculator. You could also do this completely in your head. Alex, what is 49 times 7? Is that bad boy on? So this is a -343, because you can always just combine things. Notice in this one, we had one big square root, and we switched it to 2, because it was easier for us to switch it to 2. Here, we have 2, and we're switching it to 1. Whenever we're multiplying and dividing, we can do whatever we want, whatever's easiest. Now, if you just put this in your calculator, it would give you the answer. It's -7. Okay? Let's look at number 19. I'm going to get a fresh page. 19. The cube root 5 times the cube root of 9y squared times cube root of 24y. I'm going to give you your quizzes back, here after I get done with this video. You guys, I noticed on the quiz you struggled when you've got something out here. A lot of you add it to whatever you take out. You have to multiply it. So maybe we'll have to do that on this one. The cube root of 9 is not simplifiable. This is one of those where they're trying to trick you into taking out a 3, but it's not a 3 because this is a cube root. And there's no number when you multiply by itself 3 times that gives you 9. Okay? So our strategy again on this is going to be just to combine these things and see what happens. So we just wait, we hang on to the 5. Cube root of, Alex, 9 times 24. Okay, and then y squared times y is y cubed. Okay, sweet. Now, I'm thinking 216 might be 6 cubed. So, Can somebody check that? Is it? So 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. If you didn't know that, you would just have to figure out how to do the cube root of 216 in your calculator. So look, here's what we're screwing up. Not all of us, but just a couple of us. So we're going to take that and change it to a 6. These two numbers get multiplied by each other. Okay? And what are we going to do to the y cubed? Take it out and make it well, what number times itself gives you y cubed? Y. Okay? So the answer is 5 times 6 times y. And the answer is 30y. Okay? All right, we'll move on to the back. We'll start with number 27. Three times radical 20x plus 8 times radical 45x minus 4 times radical 5x. Now, we have to shift your gears now. You cannot combine those two. Okay, because you're adding them now. You're not multiplying like we did here. Okay? And another way to remember that on the test tomorrow, or on Wednesday, when you get freaked out, just think about this. What's 5x times 4y? Okay? Well, that's probably why we struggle with this, but that's okay. It's 20xy, okay? So when you multiply, you can just lump everything together. Mostly because xy is the same thing as x times y. Okay? What's 5x plus 4y? It's 5x plus 4y. There's nothing you can do to that. Okay? So if you can remember that, then hopefully you'll remember, okay, I can't just start combining these things. Okay? Yeah. Same with division. Okay? If you notice, when we divide, we can combine, or we can uncombine if we want. Okay? Whereas when we subtract, we can only subtract things that have like terms. All right, so let's take a look at this. Remember, these are all square roots, square root, square root. So we're looking for these important numbers here: 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. And maybe you want to put a Post-it note on top of your test with those numbers. Okay? We've had some people doing that. So what number on this list goes into 20? It's 4. So I'll change that to 4 times 5x plus 8 radical. This is 9 times 5x. 9 times 5x. Well, look, they're all going to be 5x's. So that's another thing. As you do these more often, you get used to like some of the tricks of the test. So the square root of 4 is what? It's 2. Remember, you multiply those. So that says 6 times the square root of 5x. The square root of 9 is 3. So this is 24 times the square root of 5x, and that's a positive 24. And this is exactly how we want it, so we'll just rewrite it. And now you can combine them. Because remember that 7x minus 2x equals what? It equals 5x. So you can combine them if they have like terms. And these are like terms. So this gives you 30 minus 4 is 26 times the square root of 5x. That is not a negative. It's just a little loop-de-loop. Okay? Let's look at 29. What's our acronym for this one? That's right, FOIL. I know, again, from now, because this is my first time teaching this class, so now I know what you guys struggle with. and that's multiplying the radicals together. Okay, so 3 times 4 is 12. That's first. Hey, you should write these out, because on the quiz, the people that wrote them out, they usually got this fourth one wrong, but then they were able to get 3/4 out of the credit. Okay, meaning they only missed a half of a point on the quiz. Here, they would call it radical 2 instead of radical 4, which is just 2. Okay, so they would get 3 times 4 is 12, right? Then they would do outside, and most people got that this was 3 radical 2, correct? And then the inside is 4 radical 2, but this one, they would say radical 2 times radical 2 is radical 2. It's radical 4, which is indeed 2. Okay? It's radical 2 squared, and the radical and the squared cancel. So then the final answer is 12 plus 17 radical 2 plus 2. 7, thank you, 7. And then 12 plus 2, following the Adrian rules, that says that we should just add numbers when it says that. The answer is 14 plus 7 radical 2. Okay? What'd you do, crack her back? I wish. I wish there was just some big fat guy that could hug me from behind and crack my back. I always have to do that for my wife, but she can't return the favor. You know? There's no way she can pick my big old butt in the air. And she's too short, too, even if she was really strong. 33. 3 plus radical 18 over 1 plus radical 8. Okay, probably the hardest question on the review and on the test and on the quiz. You got to multiply by this thing called the conjugate, which is 1 minus radical 8. The conjugate, you just flip this sign right here, but we're not allowed to just go around and multiply by things in this world. We can only multiply by 1, so then we have to do the same thing to the top, and that's what makes this tough. Okay? So now we got a foil on the top and a foil on the bottom. So you get 3 minus, because you got a negative radical 8 times a positive 3. So that's a minus 3 radical 8. And then plus radical 18. All right, so, and then minus square root of, what's 8 times 18? Doing such a great job today, Alex. Oh, nice. That's a good number. Okay, that's going to be 12, right? On the bottom, this will always work out nice on the bottom. This is the entire point. 1 times 1 is 1. Then you get a negative radical 8. Then you get a positive radical 8. And those cancel each other. And then you get, I'll just call it a negative radical 64. If you just wrote down 8 there, I would be happier with the way you were doing it. I just don't want to confuse anybody. Okay? So now, on the top, this is about ready to get hard. I'm just going to rewrite it out twice. 3 minus 3 times the square root of 4 times 2. I'm breaking that 8 up. Plus the square root of 9 times 2. Notice those 2's are the same. That's not a coincidence. And then minus 12. All over 1 minus 8. Okay? I'm just wasting paper because I'm not even using paper. And it's not a waste if it gets me a little further. Okay, so look. Take out this 4. That becomes a 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So we got 3 minus 6 radical 2. Take out this 9, and you get plus 3 radical 2 minus 12 all over negative 7. So finally we can combine. 3 minus 12 is a negative 9. Negative 6 and a positive 3 is a negative 3. And that is our simplified answer. Okay? Well, sorry about doing the only hard one on there. The hardest one, I shouldn't say the only hard one. the hardest one for you. I took away your chance to do that. How about we look at let's look at 40 next. Let's look at number 40. It says 9x y squared, whole thing to the fourth. Okay, well, do you understand that the square root of 9, I'm doing an aside here. This has nothing to do with the actual problem. I mean, it does, but I'm just taking a time out. Do you understand that's the same thing as 9 to the 1/2? They mean the same thing. And they both equal 3, correct? So I think it's best for you to just consider this as 9xy squared to the 1/2 to the fourth. Okay? Because maybe you remember that when you take an exponent to an exponent, what do you do with these two numbers? You multiply them. Okay? It's kind of counterintuitive. Remember that x to the 5th times x squared was equal to what? X to the 7th. So when we multiplied things, what did we do to the exponents? We added them. And that is in essence why when we take a power to a power, we multiply them. So this becomes 9xy squared squared. Because I did 1/2 times 4 is 2. And now, and again, we struggle with this a little on the quiz. People left this as 9. It's not. It's 81. What's x times x? And what's y squared times y squared? And there's your answer. Okay? You guys are following along. Awesome. Okay? Let's just do one more. And we will do, oh, I don't know. Let's do number 47 because that looks hard. 4 times 3x minus 3 to the 2/3 equals 36. Okay? Remember that the strategy on these is don't do anything until you get this thing that's being square rooted or cube rooted or taken to the 3/2 power, whatever. It's got to get by itself first. So the first thing you want to do is divide both sides by 4. You done? Okay, so you end up getting 3x minus 3 to the 2/3 equals 9. Okay, now if we look back at the last example, when we take a power to a power, we multiply them. What we want to do here is get something to the first power. This to the 2/3 power is confusing us, or it's intimidating us, or both. So we want to get rid of it, so we get rid of it by taking it to the 3/2 power. Because anytime you multiply by the reciprocal, you get 1. But I can't just going around taking one thing to the 3/2 power, so I also have to take 9 to the 3/2 power. Okay? Can you do 9 to the 3/2 power for me? 27 is what I thought. Okay. So I should have done that in my head. That's square root of 9 cubed. I should have done that in my head. But anyway. Over here, you just get 3x minus 3. Those things cancel each other out because they get... That really says 3x minus 3 to the first. But you don't need to write that down. Okay? equals 27. And now we got this. 3x equals 30. X equals 10. Okay? I think what I want you to do for this worksheet is do like all the odds or all the evens. Just pick one of those. Okay? Why don't you do the odds? Because I bet I already have the answers to the odds. I can just copy them. Okay? Boom!